All right, welcome to episode 4 of our 5-minute challenge. 5 minutes every day with Jesus, right? We're going to spend a few minutes every day this summer with Jesus. We're going to start with just 5 minutes a day. We're probably going to grow from there, but let's spend 5 minutes every day in prayer and in Bible study. That's our challenge this summer. And as we kind of think about that, yesterday we've been talking about some of the steps of solid Bible study, of any good Bible study. There are 3 steps. First is observation, gather clues, gather information. Second step is ask a lot of questions. We call it interpretation. You go through, you examine the information, you try to see how it's all related, and you figure out what it means. Today we're going to talk about that third step, which is application, where you do something with what you're learning. Now, if you remember, we started with the mystery of the spilt flower pot. So we had some clues that we looked at the first day. The flower pot that was spilt in the middle of the night. We have some doggy footprints, and we happen to have a pug dog that lives here, our little pet Rosie. Chances are, when we interpret, the second step we did was we interpret the information. We interpret what happened from the clues. Chances are she knocked over a flower pot in the middle of the night and left a mess for me. Now we got to do step 3 today, which is application. We do something about it, right? We got a mess on our hands, and if I get the, we got to do something about it, right? It's time to clean up. So, and also I got to make sure this doesn't happen again. I got to take steps to clean up the mess and to make sure she doesn't make this mess again. That's application, or we make changes based on what we've learned. We apply all of these things to Bible study. What does that mean? What do we do about this? Let's talk about that today. All right, the third step to any good Bible study is application. Do something with it, right? Do something with what you've learned. You've already done the first step, right? You've spent some time reading and studying God's Word, making notes of anything that stands out to you, anything interesting, anything new, anything that makes you go, you want to think about it. God just kind of highlights those things. Write them down, take a note. And then the second step, interpretation. You've asked a lot of questions. What does this mean? What does this mean? Trying to figure out the meaning. And now you've kind of got to a place where you say, okay, I think I know what this verse means. Let's do this third step, which is application. Do something with it. Do something with what God has shown you. The book of James says, faith without works is dead. That at some point when God shows you something, you got to act on it. James also says, be doers of the word, not hearers only. God has spoken to you, right? In the observation and interpretation stage, God spoke to you. Now, what are you going to do with it, okay? One of the stories that we're looking at to kind of illustrate how to do this 3-step Bible study is Philip and the Ethiopian eunuch, right? He's there helping this Ethiopian official. He's reading God's word, so they're doing that first step. They're observing. He's explained what it means. He's helped him understand it, so they did the interpretation phase. And now they're going to act on it. At the end, they come by some water, and the Ethiopian eunuch goes, what's stopping me from being baptized today? And Philip says, if you believe in Jesus, nothing's stopping you. Let's act on what we're learning. So he gets baptized right there in the wilderness at that moment, right? He acts on what he's learned. We got to be the same way. We spend some time reading God's word, studying it. Let's act on it. Let's do something with it. Our faith is supposed to be active, not passive. We're supposed to be acting on the things God showed us. So come up with a specific action step. When I say specific action step, what I mean is come up with something specific, okay? Don't just say, I'm going to be a better Christian, or I'm going to be a better person. That's too vague, okay? How are you going to be a better Christian? What's that first step you're going to take at being a better person? You know, what is God showing you? One thing that needs to change. God's Word, whenever we read it, He always has something for us. He always is calling us to take another step of following Him. That's what discipleship is, taking that next step of following Him. So what is your next step? Be very specific with it. Today, I'm going to do this, and write it down, okay? Make yourself a challenge every day. Okay, so for now, our challenge is to spend 5 minutes every day in God's Word. See what it says to us. And from that, we should challenge ourselves with a kind of a second challenge. I'm going to do something with what I'm learning. I'm going to act on this. I'm not going to be passive. I'm not going to be a hearer only. I'm going to be a doer. Okay, we're going to look at that more in depth here in a couple of weeks, of this step of application, but it is probably the most important step of any kind of Bible study. And it's also often the step that's left out, of actually doing something with what we've learned. So don't make that mistake, okay? Thank you for joining us for this 5 minutes every day with Jesus challenge. I'm looking forward to what God's going to do, and we'll see you tomorrow.